Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hidden Pearls podcast. My name is Emma, and today I am joined by the one and only, the matriarch of our family, this beautiful long-haired goddess where George and I both got our flows from. It's Jan Krieger. Thank you for being here, Mama. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's pretty strange being on this side. I like being behind. But thank you. Thank you for including me.
Yes. So Mom and I just had a pretty epic adventure. She came out in celebration of her 65th birthday coming up. We brought her out to Japan and did a pretty epic girls trip. Cody was here for some of it, but it was really about this opportunity to share something so massive that has been a part of my life and Cody's life, which is Japan, that none of my family members have been able to see. And so it was really special and emotional and all the things for us to finally be able to share this with you. So, and it wasn't an easy trip. So thank you for making space for that, Mama.
Thank you for the invitation. Are you kidding me? No, I'm so grateful that I came. I really am. It worked out perfect.
It did work out perfect. So today for our show, what we really wanted to do was just first on get Jan in front of the camera, because look at her. And we just wanted to talk about some of the Mount Fuji adventures and the lessons that we learned and kind of why we did it. And so I guess before we do that, Mom, let's talk a little bit about your journey to Japan. We were talking about Jan in Japan the whole time. And so what I'd love to do is for you to share maybe what your thoughts of Japan were, maybe some of your favorite things, maybe some of your not so favorite things. And yeah, just let us know what you thought.
Well, first of all, I was always curious about Japan. I didn't really see myself going there, but a long time ago, being from a family on a farm with 10 girls, we didn't really travel that much, but my oldest sister traveled to Japan. And this was when she was 21 years old in 1967. So it was a really big deal. And so she brought back gifts for all of us. And she brought me back this silk little pair of Japanese pajamas. And I love them. I think I still have them somewhere. I really do. But so there's always been kind of that interest, in Japan because of her trip travel. Anyhow, so now you guys have been there. This is year 3. And I thought, and you've always said, Mom, you have to come and I want you to see what it's like. And so it's perfect to travel with you. You were traveling back, so I could travel with you. It was really fun, the plane ride. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal than it was, but I felt like we were up and down in no time. What was it, 9 hours? I think we were off 9 to 11 hours. I can't remember.
It's 11 hours from the U.S., from California to Japan, and it's 9 hours on the way back because you have the wind behind you.
Yeah, so it's really easy traveling. The flight attendants were beautiful and so kind. And I guess what I saw immediately was just how kind these people are. And I'm not categorizing, but Japanese people, they're so kind. They're very proud. There is tradition. They're just so respectful. And everything is just pristine. And that was just amazing. But just, the bowing, every time you said anything to anybody, it was always, thank you. And at first that was hard for me, but by the end, it was very easy. But so it was very interesting to be in a different culture. We did stand out because we have long blonde hair, but then what? Yeah, and we're tall. There were some tall people too. It was hard not being able to read signs or read menus. I mean, sometimes there was English on some of the menus, so that was easier for us. But I can't imagine doing that. I don't know how you did it the first time when you went without Cody to navigate through train stations and taxis and planes. And so it was a lot. It was a lot of stimulation, some, new stuff coming at you all the time. But, and then just the time change. That was huge. What was it? 13 hours? Tell me, again about.
Just about.
Yeah, 13-hour time change. And that was really hard. I don't think I ever really adjusted to the Japanese time. I would wake up at like 3 a.m. and, be wide awake. But the good things, well, we'll get into that. My favorite thing. We're going to talk about that soon. Emma and I laughed because she goes, Mom, what is the least favorite? And I it really took me a while. She goes, Mom, the wine. So we drank white wine. We had a really hard time finding any white wine that we really liked.
We'll just stay. Your girls love white wine. We love
Yeah,
white wine, and when it's super hot, after you're out adventuring all day, having some white wine is fun, and it's
yeah,
just really fun. And we finally found there were like three distinct places,
yes,
but buying a nice bottle of white wine in Japan turns out to be incredibly challenging.
yes. But yeah, and we started kind of to rate them. And the last night we were there, we ended up buying a bottle, and I think we gave that a zero.
A zero.
A zero. Yeah.
A zero.
But it was okay because great memories. We tried sake. I had tried that before, but we had a small bottle of that. And that was interesting, Emma. Did you see did I was reading like about sake, like is it considered, it's like rice wine? I mean,
Wine.
but
Mhm.
but it's not just wine because it's like fermented, there's beer, and there's something else about liquor. So it kind of encompasses all three. But
Mhm.
so yeah, it was just really interesting and to kind of be outside your comfort zone. I think that's always good for someone to do. But I guess the bottom line was people were so willing to help you. They were so kind. Like, they would have helped us in any situation. And they did. So people did. They were very kind. Okay. How's that?
That was wonderful.
I'm trying to think.
What do you think about the food in Japan?
Oh, I knew you were going to throw this at me. Okay, so I'm a vegetarian, but I'm open. I was very open. It's not like I haven't eaten fish in my life. I have, and so I thought, okay, it's sushi, whatever. I have had sushi, but it was really hard for me. I think for after so many years, not only is the flavor very strong for me, it's just the texture of that too. I'm not used to that texture anymore. So that was a little difficult for me. I have to admit, though, one of my favorite meals, and we'll talk about that favorite meal, was the miso ramen. I would call it a soup, but it was fabulous. The ramen noodles are not like our noodles here. It's not like your package of ramen. They were just thick and hearty and so delicious. And the miso just has so much more flavor. So that was delicious. And then we discovered Italian food, and it was fabulous. I couldn't get over how good it was. It was so good. Remember that restaurant Knock? They were making the food. Oh my gosh, everything was just fabulous. So, anyhow,
Japan is known for craftsmanship in everything that they do and kind of like that elegant, like simple flavors, mastery of ingredients, farm to table, like really authentic ingredients.
yeah,
That's what Japan is known for in any area. And because mom was not a big, like anything kind of fishy. And I will say that you were a sport and you tried a lot of things. The thing with fresh Japanese sushi, which took me a really long time to get used to, is the temperature. And where like sushi in America that I've had is always chilled or cold.
right.
Or I always remember it being colder. And then when you come to Japan, it's like so fresh. The fish is still alive pretty much and it's warm. And so the temperature when you put it in, expecting it to be cold and it's warm, it feels like you're eating the actual life of the fish. And I think that was like, I remember seeing your face the first time we did that. I
Oh,
was like, oh my God, I forgot to tell you about the temperature. But we did find like some boiled shrimp on some sushi. We had some crab. So things that were cooked were a lot easier. I tried to get her to try sea urchin, uni. That did not go over super well, or the salmon eggs, so some roe. But overall, I think you were totally a sport and you were down to try it. And the rice, you really liked the rice.
it's good. The rice, I don't even know how to describe it. It just was richer. Um, it just, it almost melted in your mouth. It
The
was
rice is so good.
so good. The rice is very, very
Insane.
good. So good.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And Cody and I were actually just talking about that because we had some really awesome rice the other night and they use rice cookers. And I always thought, I was like, oh, that might not be like the most authentic way to make it. But everybody here uses a rice cooker. So when we go home, I'm going to get a rice cooker for our
Yeah.
house because it's just like, it's so good every single time.
It's really,
So we really loved pizza and salad, kind of the same thing that we eat
here.
currently
Yeah.
everywhere we go.
Yes.
We had some good cheese.
Yeah.
Um, there was a lot of really good food. Oh, you tried soba, the cold soba
Oh,
noodles?
that's good. Those were good. Yes.
That was interesting, and you like the tempura vegetables also.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So
And even for, like, not being totally into all the different flavors, like the umami or, like, any of that kind of fishy flavor, we did a really good job, and, like, we never resorted back to just, like, random American food,
right.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's still, like, fast foods everywhere, and I think we were very open to trying new things and experiencing new things and going to the grocery store and kinda, like, randomly selecting things, so that was pretty
We did
fun.
have a pretty fabulous salad sandwich.
Oh, we
Going to the
did, the egg salad salad.
tea shop that was, or the coffee shop. Remember
The
that thing?
Most, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a chain called The Most out here, and it's really good.
No, no, no. I'm talking about where Cody went with us, and he got the
Oh,
coffees.
yes,
That was where that egg salad sandwich was. That was
you're
really
right.
really
There's a, like, boutique coffee
right.
cafe in Sendai that I found, and they have phenomenal egg salad sandwiches and, like, incredible I got a Vienna latte, something like that?
Hmm.
Austrian, whatever, something like that. But either way, so there was a lot of, like, simple flavors that were very elevated here that were really special. Um, and then your
I
favorite meal, go ahead.
but no, I was going to say too, and I did like the portions. I mean, they're small. We don't need to eat that much. I feel like we just eat so much food here, and I so appreciate. And I'm not saying that. I mean, there were large dishes of pasta. There were. I was really surprised some of the petite, feminine, very petite women that ate the whole bowl. That
Smashed
just,
it.
but most of those things were small. And I really like that. That you walked away and you weren't like stuffed. And yeah, and the other thing is, we walked so much. We walked
Yeah,
everywhere,
got our
and
steps in.
we had a lot of steps in, and it was really hot and humid. But we walked everywhere, and most people do. I mean, you rely on public transportation. Yeah, there's cars, but I think most people would take the train or probably the train, right?
Yeah.
But I did like that too.
What did you think of the Shinkansen?
Okay,
That's
remind
the
me what.
bullet train. It's okay.
So I was like, what? Oh my gosh, we got on this train. I wish we had a video of it, and because it looks like a sea urchin or something going through, but it goes 200 miles per hour. And you get
Mhm.
places pretty fast. But it was really fun. I mean, in fact, sometimes I went too fast. I wasn't quite ready to get off. I couldn't believe we we're already there. But very nice, very comfortable seats. Again, and people don't talk. They don't talk on. They're very respectful of other people's space, and so they're not talking to one another. Emma and I whispered if we wanted to talk, but it was very respectful. People weren't on their phones. Rarely were people ever on their phones in public in a setting, like maybe if you're
Talking,
walking,
you mean?
yeah, like in a restaurant or like do like we do here. People just talk wherever they want, and I love that they didn't do that. I keep saying they, and I don't know how else to say in Japan, but yeah.
It is though. It's like a cultural thing, where you're just not loud in public places. Like, unless you're at a sporting event, like a baseball game, crazy loud.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you're in a public space, it's in, considered disrespectful if you are really loud, if you are making a lot of noise, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's at the train station, whether it's on the train. And even Cody's teammates, like when they ride from where, like if they take a bus somewhere, you do not talk on the train, or you do not talk on the bus. Like, you don't communicate, you don't say anything, and you just honor people's own internal process. And I think that's something that we also really notice is Japan is like, it's a lot of internal experiences of where you don't really say anything and there's not like a bunch of music blasting all the time. It's just a
Right.
very quiet, mindful experience in a mindful country that way.
Right. Yeah. It was really beautiful.
What'd you think about the shopping or the
The sh-
fashion here?
oh, well, you know what? Uh, I'd done some research, and you've been there, so I kind of knew, what. But I would say most people, you do not see sweatpants. You do not see leggings, women wearing leggings, and that's just a staple here. No people were like showing much of their bodies. You rarely saw like a shirt even unbuttoned like this. Um, but then when we got to Tokyo, it was a little more, outgoing or modern. I don't want to say modernized, but
Yeah.
people dress, take their, the way when they walk out the door, um, they look very nice. Yeah, I was really surprised just how like that's always business suits, but just always like dressed up. It wasn't. I mean, they wear jeans. I mean, because I asked him, I go, "Can I wear my jeans or whatever?" But yeah, people always just take a lot of pride in the way that they look.
Hmm.
Not vanity, not that way, but just you're walking out, you're in public, so you should look nice.
Yeah.
So but then when we got to Tokyo, I definitely wanted to buy some Japanese blue jeans. And so we found that store right away. So I bought a set and that was really fun. In fact, I came home with mostly denim, didn't I?
Really?
I did. I got one denim shirt. I got the one set and then the other set. So I came home
Hmm.
for denim.
Came home with a
But
lot of denim.
I
That was
did.
great.
Yeah, I did.
What else did we get? No shoes because nobody really has our size here.
Yeah, no shoes.
No shoes. The vintage shopping was really fun. There's some really beautiful vintage stores. They
But
don't go ahead.
well, I was going to say with a lot of American like T-shirts, like we saw
Yes.
University of Tennessee. I'm like University of Tennessee,
Yeah.
but we saw a lot of like Lakers and 49ers, and you saw a lot, like that, or Carhartt jeans, or yeah, Lee's, Wranglers, whatever. Yeah, you saw a lot of I think American products, but that was fun to see. What else did I was I? Oh, but what we really I loved were the knives.
Yes. Yeah, we came back with a lot of knives. A lot of knives, a lot of scissors, a lot of kitchen tools.
Yeah. But we went into this one shop and it was like family owned and a woman was, helping us but not speaking the same language, but we would nod and she just kind of let us look around and we were in there. Of course, Emma is such looks at everything. So we're in there for a while and then when we chose our knives, not knowing really what to use them for, but we knew what we wanted to use them for veggies or cheese or whatever, this older man came from behind in the back and out and he opened every single knife and they sharpened them for us and
We had like 6 knives and a pair of scissors.
yeah, it was beautiful just watching him because he kind of just shuffled,
Yeah.
and he took each knife and it's not like I just wish we had a video of it, but it was an old wooden stand and had water in it and a sharpening stone, I guess you'd say. But just to watch how he did, he took great pride. And then he would, oh my gosh, and I explained how to see if it was sharp enough.
So a way that they will like show you your knife and how sharp it is they will cut something in front of you. And so a lot of times it's a piece of newspaper or paper and they'll take it and they'll just slice it and it'll like easily slice through. Another way that they do it is they will tap the side of their head really lightly and you can watch their hair fall. And so the guy showed us that both demonstrations for every single one, which I've only ever seen the hair thing one other time, and that was in Tokyo. So the fact that he did it for like all of the knives that we bought,
Yeah,
it was quite a show. It was quite a performance and just like it was a real experience to
yeah,
purchase the knives and like witness the craftsmanship and the energy and kind of the love that goes into all of the pieces that they make.
yeah. That's right. The love. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, well was there anything that you didn't like that you want to talk about?
I I said the wine.
Oh, yeah, we did say that. It was more
Yeah.
just, like, not being able to read anything and, like, the mental stimulation of not being able to, like, understand the language or, like, recognize certain characters. But
I
other
mean,
than that, it was
yeah,
really
and
fun.
you and Cody and Emma, live there, so they have an apartment, and the baseball team puts them up in this apartment, and it's small. Everything's small. We're not small people.
That's true too.
So that was different. And even doing laundry, I mean, the button, everything is in Japanese, and so just to figure that out, after a while, you're just like, I'm so tired trying to figure things out. But I mean, good grief, what a terrible thing. I'm in Japan, and so no,
Yeah,
nothing was terrible.
a lot of mental energy.
Yeah, right. But that's good for your brain, right?
Mhm, exactly. Well, let's talk about that big thing that we did. So, Mount Fuji is the tallest mountain in Japan, and it stands by itself, Mount Fuji is really a unique mountain because, well, first of all, it's an active volcano, but the other thing is it's not part of a mountain range. And if you look at it, it's perfectly symmetrical as it goes up. And just the sides of it and as it slopes. And it's very regarded as one of the most beautiful mountains in the world because of its symmetry, which is so Japan. Like it's so Japanese that it's just this one standalone monument to just like the beauty and the grace and the mastery of Japan and the symmetry and just all these different things that we've already been talking about. And so we wanted to give you a little background on Japan, why it was kind of, or background on Mount Fuji, kind of where this vision came from, and then how we prepped for it. I've been getting some questions on how we prepped for it and like what we did for it. And so we wanted to give you guys a little insider's look as a 33-year-old and as an almost 65-year-old on how we did it and anything else that we might have like changed or done it a little differently. So Mount Fuji, the elevation is 12,390 feet. So 12,390 feet. We have climbed some 14ers in Colorado. And I think my vision, I just, when we first moved to Japan, Fuji was always just, I mean, this like, it's a huge monument and it's stunning and it's amazing. And it's such a huge, it's a spiritual pilgrimage to actually hike Mount Fuji. And a lot of people, I was like reading a lot of blogs and trying to learn as much as I could as like over the last few years. And a lot of people say that they climb it as a spiritual pilgrimage to the past and like the way things used to be. And so, in a remembrance of all the natural beauty and the majesty, like before all the cities went up and before, technology came in and kind of just engulfed Japan, it was just this raw, natural place. And so, it's a celebration so it's Buddhism. Um, and it's like a Buddhist pilgrimage as you hike up and kind of honor these different phases that you go through. So, but either way, obviously the spiritual thing kind of tickled me as well. So last year I took a tour with Cody's father and his wife, and as we hiked up, or as we did like a bus tour so we could see it, and our guide was talking a lot about how Mount Fuji represents the divine feminine energy of Japan. And I've read a lot of different pieces of that. But I found actually, mom found this awesome blog post. And so, um, one of the things that's really interested is because, so Japan is a volcano and it represented this goddess. I have her name right here. And I'm sorry if I totally
Kana?
messed it up. It's Kanohana Sakuya. Kanohana Sakuya, but she is associated with the springtime and cherry blossoms, and her name means the lady who makes the trees bloom. And so you give thanks to her with the beautiful Japanese cherry blossoms when they're in bloom. It's kind of like her way of like honoring and blessing, which if you've seen any cherry blossoms, it's the sakura. That's what the symbol is. And that symbol kind of represents Fuji. But she is the goddess of Mount Fuji. And so interestingly enough, in like a long time ago, women were strictly forbidden from climbing the mountain for centuries until 1872 because somebody dressed up as a man and hiked it. And the reason that they said that is because they didn't think that women should hike it because, especially the beautiful women, because it may make the goddess angry and cause Mount Fuji to erupt. And so they really suppressed women and like kept them off the mountain and told them that they couldn't hike, like really forbid people from hiking, and would say that like if you hike this, you're gonna erupt, Fuji's gonna erupt and you're gonna kill so many people. And so there was a lot of fear around the mountain for a long time. Then this woman dressed up, hiked the mountain and proved that that wasn't true and that women could hike it. And so now it is kind of one of the most popular things to do for locals, but also for tourists in all of Japan. Did I miss anything, Mom?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Once again, it's men making rules for women. That's all I have to say. I think that she would have welcomed any woman up the mountain.
I agree. And that's very much so. Cody and I are going to take a stab at doing the whole parenthood thing next year. So we're very intentionally starting to kind of cultivate that energy of welcoming our first little baby into the world. We haven't started trying yet. We're not pregnant, but the vision of doing this for me, it just seemed like climbing Mount Fuji and doing it like I was going to do it by myself, and then it kind of worked out for mom to come, but I really wanted to do this as like an homage, to pay homage to like me as a woman and this connecting to that like divine feminine energy and like the beauty that comes with it, and honoring this part of me that is very much like kind of the maiden, right? So the energy before motherhood, because it's kind of a death of the old self, right? Like women before children, like you have your own life, you're doing your own thing, and then you have a child. And I feel so grateful that my mom showed me just what this unconditional love looks like, and also like just how consuming loving a child can really be. And I know that I'm going to be the exact same in just that fierce protectivity, protection, and that love. And so I know myself, and I know that there's going to be such a huge shift in my energy and my focus and like who I am as a person. And so this hike to me was super important because I wanted to, I think going through like a journey like this and doing something really big like this, it really kind of like plants your flag in, and it says like this wasn't just oh, I'm going to go hike a mountain. Like this was a really intentional journey that I was going to be taking. And so then when it worked out for my mom to come,
It's perfect.
it was perfect. Right. So just for us to share that experience, and then I don't know, who knows what's going to happen, but I believe fully that I'm going to have a baby girl first. And so for me to like go into that and thinking like, it's my mom, and then it's me, and then like welcoming baby girl, and like being up on that mountain and like thinking about her and like this energy and that spirit that's going to come in. It was just like, it was so emotional. And it was like, we were carrying a lot of emotions up that mountain. And yeah, and I just think like the kind of our vision behind doing it was so special and powerful. And so I'm just like so grateful that I got to share that with you.
Me too, Emma. Yeah, it was very special. We didn't know for sure if we were going to it was going to happen. And we won't get into all that, but Emma kind of tweaked her back and early
Good.
on and didn't know if we could do it. So we kind of pushed it to the side. And then anyhow, and then Emma discovered a way to get us up there. And so I extended my trip a couple of days, and we did it just kind of like, okay, let's go for it. And we did it. So yeah, I mean, one, we were prepared. We talked
Yeah.
about this before I even came. I brought half of a suitcase full of climbing gear, from walking sticks to backpacks to camelbacks to gaiters to hiking shoes to raincoats to winter coats to gloves to hats. Because on top of the mountain, it was cold. It was
It
really
was really
cold.
cool.
When we started, when we left that morning, we were at sea level. We were right by the ocean.
We
And then
stayed right by the water. We were at sea level. So we went sea to summit. That was
sea to
our plan.
was. And so we carried a lot of gear on our backs, but it was, yeah, pretty powerful. It was wonderful. Yeah, I don't know else if you want to say something or want me to
Yeah.
go on.
No, so there are some different things about Mount Fuji that we thought were really interesting as we kind of went through this. So Mount Fuji is partially privately owned. So as they like so either way, when you're hiking, I mean, it's a national park now, but as you are hiking it, we're going to talk about kind of the money and like how much it cost to hike the mountain, because there were a lot of interesting expenses. Fuji is an active volcano. I did not disclose that to my mother before we did that, but
I thought it
Fuji
was
is definitely an active volcano. It is not dormant at all.
but it
It has
lasted
erupted
like what 1701 or 1700 something, and so you think, okay,
1708. Yeah.
1708, okay, so you think we're good, but I just didn't think, yeah. So there's a huge crater at the top. Yeah,
There's a huge crater at the top. But yeah, it hasn't erupted for 300 years, over 300 years,
yeah,
but that doesn't mean it won't.
right.
Um, you know, and Mount Fuji was Japan's first ski slope. That was kind of interesting. And we actually passed through that. You can get married on top of Mount Fuji. So
I know.
people will like hike up that place. So mom and I are like standing at this place, but it's 2 a.m. and it's really dark and we're really tired and we're really cold. And so we didn't really do as much. I had read that before, but I didn't really dig
Yeah.
into that or realize what we were standing in front of. But yeah,
And
you can get
it
married
was
up there.
but then, because then we knew we could go further to the top. We weren't. I mean, you could even go what 200 meters higher if you wanted
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
And
Yep.
of
Yep.
course, Emma wanted to do that, which I did too.
So let's talk about the kind of path that we took. So, um, the other kind of wrench that got thrown into our plan, which I did not know about, it's interesting how you like plan and prep as much as you can, and then so many different things kind of come in. So for us, a huge part of that was it's called Oban, and it's like a holiday week. It's at the end of summer vacation before people go back to school or before like things start back up again, really. And it is the most popular time to hike Mount Fuji. And so there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can either get up early in the morning and I mean, you can actually hike from the bay all the way up to the summit and back down. You can do that in one day. It is an intense hike, but obviously people are in shape and can do that. That is an option. For us, that was not realistic. So we took a taxi. Honestly, we stayed in Atami, which is like a coastal town because I wanted to stay close to the water and I thought that would be kind of nice. And we needed a place to stash all of mom's bags before she went home. So there was a whole logistical thing thinking about our bags because Cody and I live like 3 hours from the mountain. And so first we had to take all of her stuff south. So we stayed in Atami and then we were going to just get in a taxi and take it over to the bus station. And then I just kind
Train
of got,
station, train station, then bus station, right?
yes, they're the same, but the stations.
Okay.
But either way, the we were gonna do that and then like take a bus all the way up. And then I was like, let's just ask the guy if he can take us up. And he said yes. So in all transparency, the bus ride or the taxi ride that we took was by far the most expensive part, which it was about $200. So in hindsight, I would do it again. I would definitely do it that way again, because like there's definitely a cheaper way to do that by going to the bus, and you can use the train to get to the station, and then from there there's a bus that'll take you up, and it's like $15 to get up. But for us, we were just feeling a little overstimulated and like a little nervous, and being in a taxi that was going to take us exactly to the spot just was like such a gift. And so we're like, yeah, let's definitely do that. So we ended up taking a taxi. So what you do is you take a taxi up to the fifth station. There are I think there's four different fifth stations. There's four main trails that you can hike of Mount Fuji. And so I have them all here. So you have the Yoshida Trail, which is the most popular trail, and that's the trail that the Buddhist monks used to hike up. And so there's all these different torii gates. So the torii gates is like the kind of traditional Japanese symbol, and it represents a sacred place. So like you are stepping into a holy place. And there are torii gates all over the place, but I think there's more on the Yoshida Trail. And then the next one is the Subashiri Trail. Then there's Gotemba Trail, and then there's the Fuji no Miya Trail. That's the one that we took. And so the Yoshida Trail, because it is like the main pilgrimage point and the fifth station, it's like a lodge. It's like an awesome like little mountain village. It's like a mini version of like Breckenridge up on the mountain, and it's great. So if you think about Fuji, there's 10 stations, and there's kind of like half stations also, but there's 10 major checkpoints. The base of the mountain is like 0 or 1, and then 10 is the summit. So for us, we started at 5, and that's kind of the normal point is people will take transportation up to the fifth station and then they will start there. So from the Yoshida, Shubashiri, Gotemba, and Fuji Niyomiya trails, you can decide which fifth station that you want to get dropped off at. And so for us, because I actually really wanted to do the Subashiri Trail just because I'd been watching a lot of videos on that and I felt very comfortable with that. But the thing that we were struggling with is since it was that holiday weekend, we couldn't get a place to stay. So you can either hike it all the way up and hike it all the way down in one day, or you can split it into 2 days where you hike up, stay at a mountain lodge, and then spend the night there and then wake up super early, catch the sunset at the summit, and then you
Sunrise.
can thank you. Catch the sunrise at the summit, and then you can hike it all the way back down. So we ended up splitting it into 2 days, and that's really what I wanted to do, just so first of all, like sleeping in a mountain hut sounded pretty epic. And it just seemed like a little bit more accessible and easy for us to do, honestly. And then, especially once like mom got involved in this and she was going to come, it just seemed like let's take a day, like let's take some time to rest. let's really absorb the moment. Let's really think about and be intentional with what we're doing. And so slowing down for us was definitely the best option. It was just finding the correct hut to stay in. So at first, I had one of Cody's translators, shout out Ambo, he's the man. He was helping me like go through the website and try to figure it out. Couldn't find anything. Then I got onto booking.com and I found something, but it was like one of the really low stations. And then that would just mean a really big hike for us the second day. So that wasn't a great option either. And then I do not know how I kind of stumbled upon accidentally this. It was the ninth station on the Fujinomiya Trail, Fujinomiya. And they said you can call in. So I sent it to Ambo right away, Cody's translator, and he called and he's like, I got you a little bunk, 2 people, dinner and breakfast. And it was like 100, it was 10,000 yen. So it was like $80 a person. And it was perfect. It was so meant to be.
It was meant to be. Or yeah, because we weren't going to do it.
Yeah. We weren't going to do it if we couldn't get that hut. And then we got the hut. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, full sprint into actually planning everything and like prepping.
Right.
So the hut was like a really big deal.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of like a huge major piece. So we ended up doing it. So I think as for this, I'm pulling up my list of stuff. So we talked about kind of all the gear and things that we had, but I'm going to go over this one more time. So we had hiking boots that were already broken in. I had 3 pairs of socks, 2 for hiking and 1 fluffy pair for sleeping. I didn't bring that, but I wish that I had like a fluffier pair. We had gaiters. So gaiters are like sleeves that go from like mid calf or even up at your knee all the way down and they hook in. And so no rocks will get into your shoes. That was so important on the way down. So definitely get some gaiters if you're going to do that. We hiked in leggings and then we had sweatpants that would go over the top. My recommendation would be get leggings with pockets so that you can easily like slide your phone in or anything, like easy access. Cause I had to like shove it in my bra or like my shirt and it just wasn't, it was kind of like not the most comfortable. So leggings with pockets. Then we had some sweats that were also waterproof, water resistant. They weren't really waterproof, but that would go on top of that.
I didn't call them sweats. Would you? Like sweats? They're more like, I don't know if I call them sweats, but anyhow.
They weren't very warm, but it was more like rain protection.
Right.
Then I just wore like a Lululemon top with a bra in it as my base layer. Then I had a long sleeve. I wore a lot of Lululemon. And then I wore a long Lululemon that had like little thumb hooks. That was really helpful too. We did not bring gloves. Well, I did bring gloves, but I didn't bring like full gloves. Like some people brought gloves that you could bike with. And I think that would have been like the padding on it because I'll show you our sticks, the things that we hiked with, but my hands were so sore for like a week after. So I think that would have been nice.
But then you'll have to explain the walking sticks because I had real walking sticks and I didn't have that. But you didn't, yours were a little raw. They were raw.
They were just wood sticks, which I'm going to show you that. Then we had our like a Patagonia puffer, those ones that compress down. That was awesome. I also had an extra Patagonia like zip up and I didn't wear that. It was too hot. And then we had a rain jacket poncho situation, super important. It just randomly started dumping rain on us like 4 times. And so having that and being able to just flip it on over your stuff and over your bag, super important. You don't want to get wet. And then we had a camel pack. So within, in our backpack, we had like a water system, but a lot of people were just hiking with water bottles, like huge water bottles. The thing with Fuji is there's no trash cans. So whatever you hike up with, you have to hike out with. And if you buy something, you have to like pack it into yourself. So for us, we did camel packs. We also had them. And so that's why we wanted to use them. But it's just on your back and it's not like, and then you have like the little straw. So that was really efficient for us. We had bandanas. I had like a neck bandana. I had a warm hat. We had like these rain sun hats. So it was like a big wide bill. So it helped a lot with the rain, but also for sun because you're up so high. Wearing sunscreen is super, super important and just like protecting your skin that way. And then for snacks, we had like a big bag of like raw nuts and then we poured a bunch of like chocolate pieces in it. And that was the best thing. I tried to get like protein bars for us and like They were so gross. It's so gross and like powdery up on the mountain. So like the raw nuts that still kind of had some oil in it with the chocolate was like a perfect combination. And at every, there was like, you start at the fifth station, there was a six, a 6.5, a seven, a 7.5, pretty much all the way up. And they had food or snacks that you could get. So there were so many different options to get food, but it was just more being intentional that you're going to have to carry down all the trash. You can't just leave it there. We also had like noodles and udon halfway up, and we had lattes halfway up. It was the best.
Never
Um,
done something like that before. I
yeah, no,
mean,
no, no. That was like the most glamorous, fun way, most delicious way of climbing a mountain.
however, it's so steep. I mean, you and every
Yeah.
station was usually like 40 minutes, but I mean, it sometimes would take you longer. But it was so steep. So I just don't want people to think, oh yeah, you just run up this trail. It was hard.
No,
It
and I'm
was
glad you said that. I'm gonna actually tell everybody the like distances and stuff because we ended up hiking the steepest trail.
so
LOL. All right, so I wear glasses, so having like sunglasses to wear and then also a pair to like wear when it was dark was important. We had a light, a headlamp that was very very helpful, and then cash money because they don't take card on the mountain, so you have to have cash. You have to have Japanese yen. There's no American money that can be used. You have to have Japanese yen, and then you can either use cash or coins, but like having that readily available and like having plenty of it was super important because the higher you went, the more expensive things got. Nothing was ever like outrageous, I would say. But, whereas like a water bottle here is like 200 yen, which it's about $2, like not even. Up on the mountain, it was like 8 to 10. And so there was like a big price difference, but still, it's not like you're running out of anything. And everyone was so helpful and so kind that if you were like really in need, I'm pretty much guarantee they would have helped you out. And you also had to
right.
pay to use the bathrooms,
That's probably one thing I didn't like is the bathrooms. That
which
would
are
be
like
it.
pretty much porter potties.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm pulling up. So one of the things that we use, there's an app. It's called Mount Fuji, MT.Fuji. So not Mount, it's just MT. And when you click on it, it'll give you like all the information of the trail names, everything. There is stuff online too, but I just really loved having the accessibility of it on my phone. And so the interesting things about all of these is it'll tell you how long it's going to take you to ascend per station, like in total, but then per station. And so for us, like, so the Yoshida Trail, the most popular one, the total distance is 15.5 kilometers. The ascent is 1,472 meters, and the total time is 11 hours and 20 minutes. So it's a 6 hour, 10-minute ascent. And
I know.
then,
Why do you not do it in kilometers? Why don't you do it like in miles?
because I
You don't
haven't
have.
translated it.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Okay.
I'm just using the app. I'm sure there's a way I could change it. And then the descent is 3 hours and 35 minutes. I wonder if there's a way
It
that I
took
can
us
do
longer
it.
than that. So I don't understand when they said 3:35. Didn't it? It took us longer than that. It was hard going down.
It was
Yeah.
really hard going down. So
Here.
then
Go ahead.
there's the Yoshida Trail is the most popular one. The
Oh,
Gotemba Trail is the longest one. But then the
ours.
Fujinomiya Trail, the one that we took, which is the blue route, what you do is so that's like an 8 hour round trip if you just went up and down. So it knocks off like 3 hours, but like you are going straight up on a lot of parts, like big rocks that we were going up. And I have some videos, so we'll clip that in for you. But the ascent was 4 hours and 20 minutes. I would definitely say it was more like 6. Like if you're running it, it'd be like 4 or you didn't stop at all. I don't think that was super realistic. And then it's the rim around the volcano. That's like an hour and a half walk. I, for some reason, had it in my head that it was going to take us 30 minutes. And so I pretty much made mom like run the whole thing because we wanted to get to the other side. Oh my God, it was so dramatic. We were running around a volcano at like 2 in the morning.
It was close to 4 because remember the sun rises at
You're right.
5:05 or something, and
You're
so
right.
it was about 4 when we're going through. We're around the top, but then there was all of a sudden we're like, "Are we in the crater?" It was
We
really weird.
were.
Yeah,
So it was
very.
crazy because you get up to that point where you can get married, and then for us, it was going to the left, and there was this higher peak, and then you could sit up there and watch it, and it overlooked the volcano, the
That would be really
crater.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
then, but we wanted to get around and like be on the front side to face it, or to like be on the side that the sun rises on. And so the part of the route takes you down into the crater, and there was nobody else there. And so I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm supposed to be down here. Like, you're in the crater pretty much. Like, you're not in the, I mean, looking at it, like, but there is just a part that like dips you down instead of it takes you out and around. It like dips you through the middle of the crater. That was crazy. That was pretty wild because it felt very like I was making it my own path. And then finally, like after 10 minutes of being down there, we saw a rope. We're like, oh, thank goodness. It's like, this is how we get arrested in Japan. But yeah, so for us, what we wanted to do is hike up anywhere that we could stay. So that determined the path that we took. And then we went all the way around the top. We watched the sunrise, which was outstanding. We took some fun photos. And then we went, there's a post office at the summit where you can like send postcards. There is a bunch of different, there's like 4 different restaurants. And there's just like all these places where you can take like insane photos. It was so beautiful. And so we ended up eating up there, and then we went down the down entrance of the Yoshida Trail, which was the most popular one. And that was really hard to go down because it was literally like there's 2 separate, well, on some of them they have separate down trails, so there's not so much congestion. And the Yoshida Trail is one of those. And so instead of going down the same way you come up, they have a separate one. So there's like just a better flow of traffic because a lot of people are on the trail. And it was really hard because you're literally like zigzagging straight down like volcanic gravel, like pebbles. And it was very slippery and shaky. So that was hard, but it was really cool. And I wanted to go down that one because that's where like that whole lodge 5th station was. And I wanted to show Mom that and give us a little extra time. And we thought it'd be easier to catch a ride back down. So that's why we did it that way.
Yeah. So we were coming down the mountain like at 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. That was crazy.
Yeah. So we started at 11, which is kind of unheard of for us. We're kind of in the 2 a.m. club. So we got to the trailhead around 11 a.m. and then we hiked until like 4 to 4, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it took about 5.5 hours, and we didn't go all the way to the top. We went to the 9th station, and then we stayed there, had dinner. That was really fun.
Lights were out at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm. And then the breakfast station opened up at 1 a.m. at the lodge we were staying at. And that one, everybody started moving then, like to get up so they could catch sunrise. And so we were in bed around 7, and then just laid there a lot because we didn't really sleep very well because it was very loud. But
Yeah.
a lot of people. I mean, it was packed.
Yeah.
It was packed. And then we got up. We really started moving around. My goal was to have us moving by 2:30, and I think we were out by like 1:50, which I'm glad that we did because it gave us enough time. It gave us like more time to just take our time.
Right.
And no, it was like 2:50 because we were trying to get moving by 3:15.
I think
it wasn't going
to. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Okay, whatever. Either way, we got up super early. And if you really want to know, I'll tell you. I can go back to our time. But we got up really early. And yeah, we hiked up there. And so we were on the mountain. We were at the summit by like 4. And then the sun came up at 5. And I made Mom like run around literally run around it so that we could catch the front side of the sunrise. And it was magical.
Right. It really was. Yeah.
Let's talk about our souvenirs.
Yes.
So these are like 5-foot long hiking poles. And we each bought one to use as we hiked. And for every single station that you stop at, it gives you, you can get something kind of like burned into it, right? And so there's this one, and they all kind of tell a story of the different stations that you go to. This one's my favorite. It's a dragon, but it looks like a little cow.
It does. So yeah, and so then, and that's the other thing is that when you get to the top, you see like 3,000 whatever, and you're like, what? And you're like, oh, it's meters. So
Yeah.
they're, yeah. So the meters is like 2,000 something, but we were higher than that.
Oh, it was 3,000.
I met, I think where the dragon was, it said 2,000 or
Oh,
something.
2,780. Yeah, yeah, it's all in meters.
Right.
We got every stamp except for the 9.5 one. And so we left a little space because we thought we were going to go back down it. But since we hiked the Yoshida Trail, we thought we were going to get it on the way back down. But since we went on a different trail, it didn't put us by the stations where you could get the stamps. The stamps were 300 yen, which is about like $2 a stamp. For each
Times
of us. And so as like this, you can buy this off the mountain, but we bought it on the mountain just because we took a taxi all the way up. And so it was about $40, this piece of wood. And then, but it was great. And I'm really glad that we both got one because we ended up using it these were my hiking sticks. And then mom used our other set of hiking sticks. And so having two, I would say the biggest thing that we did was both having a set of hiking sticks was incredible, especially as we went down.
Well, hey, I got it helped me on the way up too because it was not only just boulders, but it was also jagged lava. I mean, there was lava, and so they were steep and sharp, and they helped me a lot because at times where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore. It just kind of you could pull yourself up. So they were essential. They helped me
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, they're
Mhm.
great.
It
Yeah.
was great. We also had a few beers
Mm-hmm.
on the mountain. That was pretty fun.
Oh, and we got,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, to our station.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
didn't have
and
any beer until we stopped hiking for the night.
I wanted to say, Emma, because you go, yeah, there are like 4 or 5 restaurants up there. It's not like a restaurant you walk in and sit down at a table and they come up and take your order.
Yeah.
You are sitting on a wooden plank on the floor pretty much with hundreds of other hikers. So she made it sound like it's very different. And people are just kind of yelling, like
Yeah.
your order. What was real, I mean, we were cold when we got up there and there was a guy that had these big drums full of hot water. And then inside there were cans of like tea and coffee and they were so hot that we couldn't even drink it. It was that hot, but it was so good. So we had tea, and then that's where I had probably my favorite meal, which was that miso ramen soup. It was, I know, and they served us in real bowls. Other
Yes.
stations like styrofoam, which is too bad, but real bowls. It was very special. And we have a video of Emma eating, slurping her noodles up. But so
Aerating my noodles.
on that. And then, and then I got up the next day and I flew back to California. So, and my calves are still screaming, but I did it. But I did it. Yeah, it was it
Definitely.
was very special. Yeah, it was very special. And
Yeah.
normally, that's what I was going to say. We have climbed a lot of 14ers, and we have since Emma and George were little. But this is the first trip that we have our mountain that we have climbed at this level by ourselves because
Without Bruce was what we're saying. Without Bruce planning the entire thing.
Bruce, who's an Eagle Scout, Bruce, who studies, researches, is so prepared. We weren't there. He didn't, and there were times I'm like, oh my gosh, should I check the water? Did I check these things? But we did, considering we did damn well. Damn well.
Damn well.
Damn well.
We did. That was also a really big thing in just like planning it. Because planning it for me to do is one thing, but then planning it for you also, that just felt like also like a big responsibility. And I knew that physically you could handle it, but just like I was literally anxious until because we didn't get a reservation number. You don't get anything. Like Cody's translator Ambo just says, okay, they're ready. It's under Emma. I'm like, what do you mean it's just under Emma? Like I'm gonna hike
We're
for six
done.
hours, and then if
Yeah.
it's not there, like what do I do? And he's like, oh no, it's gonna be fine. So I think that kind of like blind faith in just
Yeah.
trusting that everything was going to be there. Oh my gosh, when he checked this, when I like went and checked in and he like flipped it open and my name was there, I all started crying. I was so relieved because like if we didn't, mom and I physically can't hike back down. And so then it was like, how do we manage this?
I'm
So
sure we're not the only ones. I'm sure. Yeah. I
no, I
saw
know.
actually pockets here and there. But yeah, it was pretty amazing. It really was. And again, as I said at the beginning, everyone was just so kind. And not
Yeah.
only, there were people from all walks of life, age wise, size wise, even athletic, what physical attributes, whatever. But also, um, I was just blown away by the ages. There were young kids, like families, like I mean,
Like
young.
5-year olds, like little kids.
I really think so. Yeah. And then we saw like two men that were not together hiking by themselves. Emma has a great photo of one man, and he had to be in his 70s. And how he did that, it really blew my mind. But what kind of got me through, and one thing Bruce has always told us when we're hiking is take small steps. It's one foot in front of the other, and it's not a race. You just take your time. It does, and many times I had to remind myself that because Emma's like this little goat flitting up ahead of me. And I'm like, oh
I did
my God.
not get too far ahead. I did not don't make it sound like I left you, but like I was in my
No.
billy goat. I was like in my billy goat very hard. And I was
I,
like smiling the whole way up, like, isn't this great? And Mom's like, shut the
yeah, there were a couple times, but I'm so grateful that we did it. It's such a reward. And I guess that's what I wanted to say is that everybody on the mountain, everyone just has one common goal, just to make it to the top. And everyone was so kind. And there were times that we were behind large groups because there were guided groups.
tours. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a guide, um, and we didn't, and so you were behind a lot of people. And again, it was all ages, and but they just step off to the side, and everyone would say hello or bow to you, and then applaud you when you made it to the top. So it was really special.
Yeah. It was. It felt very united. And
Yeah,
also
very.
just like how many people were sitting at the summit to watch sunrise and the
Gosh,
sun breaks and everyone's like cheering, and that was pretty cool too. And just
very cool.
kind of acknowledgement. Like, yes, it was so serene and beautiful, but like how hard it was and how kind of relieved people were to be there. And that was really special also.
Very cool. Yeah. So thank you. Great birthday. I don't know how
Great
many people like
birthday.
turning 65 can say they climb Mount Fuji. So Jordan
Hey.
said, wow, I don't know anybody that's climbed Mount Fuji, but now I have a sister and a mom. I'm like, yes. Yeah.
I don't either. I don't know anybody else who's done it. Well, I
My
guess Aunt
sister,
Anne.
yeah, my sister.
And so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things that went into planning it, but I think the cool thing was like we just had an intent that we really wanted to do it, and we weren't so locked in on how we were going to get there. And I really think that just like staying consistent and curious helped us a lot, because if I hadn't been like diving through, I mean, I was like going through the map and like Google Map and clicking on things and like just staying curious on like where all these places were. Like literally, I just felt like the universe was like, here you go. Here's a little hut all the way at the top for $100. Come stay here. So that was really fun and really special. And even though we are super sore, it just felt magical.
Magical. It was.
Magical.
Yeah. And if anybody is thinking about doing it, yeah, reach out to Emma and we can give you even better details.
We'll give you the list. The list and the time. So, I mean, is there anything? I know we've kind of gone over the lessons, but are there any other things that came up for you that, being away or like being back, back in the States, not in Japan, that have come up for you since?
I think it's just that the gratitude and the respect and the kindness that I saw from the people. I mean, overwhelming, really. Uh, okay. Yeah, it was just so amazing. I just don't understand why, we're in a tough time here, in this political chaos, I say, and there's a lot of hatred. And I was just so grateful for the kindness of people there and the goodness, and everyone, and kind of like you said, Emma, like the love for their traditions. And it was really special to see that. Now, am I great to be home? We don't have the biggest house here in Santa Fe. I walked in here, I'm like, holy wow, this house felt because everything's pretty small, pretty small where we stayed anyhow. So it's, I'm happy to be back. I am. I mean, this is home. And so it feels good to be home. Grateful to share that moment with you. And I guess I'm proud of my body, that I can do that. I mean, you think, oh, I can do this, or whatever, but that was a hike, but you were inspired by those around you, to see so many, like I said, people my age and older that were doing it. And, so that was, again, I keep saying magical, but it's special. And it was
Yeah.
quite an experience. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it
it
did give
was.
me hope. That would be my hope. It's just the goodness and kindness of people. Yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
I love that. I
Well,
think
isn't that way we should be living our lives? I mean, just being, to be kind and honor one another and be respectful to Mother Earth. And, you know, I just, it was really special. So, yeah,
it was
thank
so
you.
special. You're welcome. What a birthday present. What a
Yeah.
birthday trip.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me on. It's been really nice just talking to you, and I can't wait for you to come home.
I know. A
Hold
few more
you.
weeks. Few
Yeah.
more weeks. Okay. Well, I feel like that kind of wraps up everything we have to share about Fuji. Like mom said, if you have any, questions or you're curious about doing the mountain yourself, you're welcome to reach out to us or just comment on this video. But I think the biggest thing is just like give yourself time to prepare. Don't underestimate the mountain.
Mhm.
And I think when I was watching a lot of videos, people would always say like conquering Fuji. And I think that's something that my parents, when we first started climbing, really instilled in us is like, you're never going to conquer a mountain. Like,
No.
you're never going to conquer a mountain. You're never going to conquer the sea. You're never going to conquer Mother Earth and just nature in general. And going into that with a little bit of fear, like some healthy fear and general respect for what you're doing made it a lot safer for us also
Right.
because there are a lot of ways that you can go about doing it where it's about you and it's about your experience and it's just you. And like while there was a lot of that and that transformation, doing a hike or an adventure, taking on a project like this, it is so special because it makes you realize how small you are, but like how deeply connected you are to everything around you. And so I would just say, like, have some real respect for whatever you're trying to do. And being over prepared is always worth it. And bringing more than you need is always worth it. And like allowing yourself enough time to acclimate and to prepare and to enjoy and like sit there in the moments. And I think for me, it was really going slow and taking our time as we went through everything. And so I just feel really grateful that we didn't rush anything and that we had the space to rest and enjoy and just take it all in.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. You're
Amazing.
welcome. So fun. Okay, so mom, thank you so much for being on the Hidden Pearls podcast. We love sharing this with you and just your wisdom and your love. I feel like we called out a lot of different hidden pearls from just honoring our physical bodies and not being afraid to do big projects like that and not limiting yourself, and just being curious enough to take on these big things. So,
Right.
I feel very honored that I got to walk the path of the divine feminine in Japan with you and kind of celebrate this transition.
Mhm.
Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but if we welcome our little baby girl next year, then the lineage continues.
No, you're gonna name her Fuji.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. That'd be cool. That's a cool name.
I know. I'm
Um,
excited about that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So I just want to say thank you for being on and thank you for sharing your story with us. And I have a feeling this won't be your last podcast that you do with us. So I love you.
Me too.
Happy birthday. And thank you for everything.
Thank you, Emma. I love you.
I love you
Thank you.
too.